I don't even know
I
what I'm
have.
doing.
Okay, good. We're all on the same boat. Okay, so looks like we're live. So I'm Melanie Christensen.
I'm Annette Moore.
I'm Tiffany Duty.
I'm Lisa Tyra.
And I'm Megan Doucette.
Okay.
Okay, we ready?
Yep.
Okay, so we're for the humanist side. So, while this age does owe a vast debt to the traditional religions, it is none the less obvious that any religion that can hope to be a synthesizing and dynamic force for today must be shaped for the needs of this age. To establish such a religion is a major necessity of the present. It is a responsibility which rests upon this generation. The basic premise is that religion is outdated and isn't applicable to a modern world. We have become so intelligent as human beings that we can use our own intellect and power to make the world a better place using our knowledge and talents and abilities. Religious beliefs cannot be proven, so they should be disregarded. They offer false hope.
Okay. And the religionist side, you can do your opening statement.
Oh, okay, that's me.
Okay.
Hold on. Sorry, I didn't. Shoot, where's my... Okay, well, I can't find mine. All right. Religion is our right. It's in our Constitution. It's one of the first amendments given to us. We must freedom of religion and freedom of speech is something that our founding fathers thought were so important that they put it in the documents. When our country was founded, we were founded by people seeking relief from religious persecution. Have love for everyone, and even if you do not believe in religion, we need to you need to respect it as we respect your right to believe the way you want to believe.
Okay, so we are on to round 2, which is we're going to state the main arguments. So humanist first and then religionist. So I'll go ahead and start with the humanists. Humanists believe that we live in a modern world, and that we are highly intellectual beings, that we have put man on the moon and accomplished many things. We've cured diseases, and we're ready to move further into space. We might even be able to inhabit planets on other planets. And we have become so smart and intellectual with our science and our knowledge that religion really just can't keep up. So it's time for us to have a change in our thinking. Those religious point of views are outdated, and religion can't solve the problems that we're facing in our world, according to the humanist view. And humanists believe in freedom of speech and rights for people. And in fact, in the Humanist Manifesto, it says, to enhance freedom and dignity, the individual must experience a full range of civil liberties in all societies, and this includes freedom of speech in the press, political democracy, the legal right of opposition to governmental policies, fair judicial process, religious liberty, freedom of association, and artistic, scientific, and cultural freedom. Along with that, humanists believe that people can make choices for themselves regarding their right to die, right to suicide, and the right to abortion, and the right to live basically however they want, because we believe, the humanist side, that moral values are created by individuals and from human experience. So that's kind of the main points of the Humanist Manifesto. They are seeking rights for people, but they're doing it from a very secular perspective, and from the idea that man is highly intelligent, that we can make these decisions for ourselves, and we don't need a religion to tell us how to think. Okay, so the religion aside, you guys can do round 2.
Okay. So the First Amendment of the Constitution guarantees the free exercise of religion. There's actually the majority of the world, and even the United States, most people believe in a higher deity. And even if you take those who are atheists and consider that a religion, we fight for them. We fight for everyone's opportunity to exercise freedom of religion. The guarantee of this free exercise of religion is, promised to us in the Constitution, and it is the whole reason why it was made. Our country was built upon people coming to it and trying to escape that religious not a monarchy, but you get the idea. Just they want to be able to believe what they believe. And Elder Oaks said that in a nation with citizens of many different religious beliefs, the right of some to act upon their religious principles must be qualified by government's responsibility to protect the health and safety of all. Otherwise, for example, the government could not protect its citizens, person, or property from neighbors whose intentions include taking human life or stealing in circumstances rationalized on the basis of their religious beliefs. So we believe in religious freedom, but we need that freedom to also incorporate them. Do you mind? We need it to, sorry, I just lost my train of thought. We need that religious freedom to also provide safety for everyone who is religious. We do think that no matter what your religion, this freedom cannot infringe on the safety of others. So, and there has been attacks on the Christian religion by forces who reject the existence of the authority of God. A writer for the Christian Science Monitor predicted that in the coming century, there will be a very secular and religious, it will be very secular and religiously antagonistic. This intolerance of Christianity will bring rising to levels many of us have not believed possible in our lifetime. I did not have to read that. Okay, well, there is a growing bigotry against those who are religious in the United States, and what we need to do is stand up for our rights, stand up for our religious rights and freedoms, and make sure that even with this religious bigotry that is going on, that we make sure that everybody is still safe and no one has any aggression and stuff toward others. I'm going to end now.
Good job, Lisa. This is so hard. Okay, round 3. So spokesperson 1 engages in cross-examination. So humanists ask religionist questions, then switch. Okay, so...
Okay, I don't really know how to do that, but I guess I could ask a few, and if you want to ask a few too, Melanie, that might be helpful.
Okay, that sounds good.
Because I'm so confused. Okay. So I was reading up on the religionist side's document, and it says the greatest infringements of religious freedom occur when the exercise of religion collides with other powerful forces in society. Among the most threatening collisions in the United States today are the rising strength of those who seek to silence religious voices in public debates and perceived conflicts between religious freedom and the popular appeal of newly alleged civil rights. So I find this to be opinion. So I don't know what you guys want to say about that, but I find that very opinionated. Also, I read, and it says, the problems are not simple, and over the years, the United States Supreme Court, which has the ultimate responsibility of interpreting the meaning of the lofty and general provisions of the Constitution, has struggled to identify principles that can guide its decision when government action is claimed to violate someone's free exercise of religion. As would be expected, most of the battles over the extent of religious freedom have involved government efforts to impose upon the practices of small groups like Mormons. Not surprisingly, government officials sometimes seem more tolerant toward the religious practices of large groups of voters. So I was looking at that, and one of the main words that you see is seem, and I mean, that's not very evidentiary, so that's an issue I have. I don't know what you guys want to say about that. Melanie, do you have any questions?
Well, do we can we answer that real quick? Is that how this goes?
I'm not really sure.
Yes. So I think you guys ask a question, we answer, and then we ask you a question, and then we keep going back and forth.
Okay.
So in regards to that, I mean, we see proof of that right now, especially with this, with the transgender bathrooms. Those that are speaking from their religious point of view, that's that's not something that they want, even from a secular point of view. If we're saying that, we don't agree with that, we don't think that's okay for anyone to use any bathroom that they want. We want to protect our children. We want, if we make statements like that, then we end up being called bigots and told that we can't have our opinion and that we're against civil rights. But it's not about civil rights. It's about protecting our children and making sure that they have a safe place and that we don't believe in practicing a transgender lifestyle. And so we've been pushed out of the public square and called names and intimidated. And so that's proof right there that that's something that, that what you were saying, that it's just opinion, that's proof right there that it is happening right now.
Okay.
Okay. So I guess my question then, from the humanist standpoint, we believe that man is intelligent enough to create morals on their own. So you guys seem to base your morals on standards that come from God. And we of course think we're intelligent. We don't need that to guide us, that we can think for ourselves. What would you have to say about that? Why do you think that you need to rely on God to give you morals to follow, and how would you respond to my comment?
I think history is the greatest example right there. I mean, we had a nation that was built on principles of God and religion. That's why this nation was formed, was to have freedom of religion. And back then we had strong families and strong marriages and strong community. And today we have the amazingly high crime rates. It's not getting better; it's getting worse as we've started to stray from religion. And to me, that just that right there seems to show that you know, as much as people want to create their own values, if they don't feel that they're reporting to someone higher, a lot of times they won't. They'll create what's good for themselves. And when everyone's looking out for themselves, those morals are not going to create a moral society. It creates a moral person that's looking out for themselves, and you're not looking out for the good of the society. You need something that combines everybody to look out for society, and that's what God does. He helps to look for to be good, you know, to look out for everybody, the greater good, instead of just the individual. And so that's where I believe that comes in. So, and then, so now do we ask our questions to you guys?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Okay. So the first thing that I thought was fascinating is in one paragraph, you're stating that in the best sense, religion may inspire dedication to the highest ethical ideals. But then, literally, like the next paragraph, it starts saying that we believe, however, that traditional, dogmatic, or authoritarian religions do a disservice to the human species. So it seems to contradict each other. So why, you know, what is it that you believe? Does religion help with the greater ethical values, or does it ruin it, and why?
I think that religion, you see people who are religious doing good things. You know, they do great things. Even in Elder Oak's speech, somebody said, you know, they provide great humanitarian aid. They do good things. But we are so intelligent. This is too hard to debate from this side. But we are so intelligent that we have evolved. This is a modern world. You can't just rely on religion anymore. The world has changed and the times have changed. So as a human beings, I think it's time to rely on our own intellect. You can't just follow traditions of the past.
Now, another question that I have is, in your document it says, we reject all religious, ideological, or moral codes that denigrate the individual, suppress freedom, dull intellect, dehumanize personality. We believe in maximum individual autonomy consonant with social responsibility. So my question is this: if you're focusing on the individual, what happens when social responsibility infringes on that person's use of autonomy? I think that's what we're running into today. What happens when that happens? Does it go straight to the individual, and how does that impact society?
Well, I think moral, you know, individuals are smart individuals, that they can create morals from their own human experience. And we look at human needs and interests, and we're smart enough to know what to do in those areas. And, you know, according to the manifesto here, we strive for the good life, for the here and now. So it's okay to look at it from an individual perspective, because that's where we derive our meaning for ethics and what is right. Megan, do you have any comments on that?
I think that was a great answer.
Yeah, I think it's your guys' turn again. Do you have a question for us?
Yeah, let me ask one more. So religionists, you guys like to refer to Scripture. We on the humanist side say you can't prove these things to be true, but you rely on them, and you want to base your freedom of religion and your freedom of speech on those things that can't be proven. So why is that so important to you, and can you explain that to us?
I think if nothing else, they've proven through history to make a positive impact on society. So even if we can't prove that they're true, we've proven that they're good for society. So why would we take away that improvement that society has had if we, you guys can't prove that as we've been accepting more non-religious views, society has started to decline. So that to me is more proof that leaving religion out is a bad thing. So whether it's true or not, these beliefs that people hold, if it's what gives them the morals and things that are better for society, it's something worth fighting for.
But isn't religion outdated? And isn't it time for us to evolve and use our own intellect? Things have changed in the world, and religion doesn't support those changes. So is it time for us to start thinking on our own?
The only thing that I see that has changed is the non-acceptance of religion. And as we've not accepted religion, that's when society has started to deteriorate. And so I think we just need a respect for everybody, that everybody should have a choice whether they accept religion or do not accept religion. That if you think that religion is outdated, then you have your right to practice that. But those that do not believe religion is outdated should have the right to practice that as well, and to have that positive background. Because as you guys point in your document, it says all persons should have a voice in developing the values and goals that determine their lives. So that comes from your own document, that everybody should have their own voice about what dictates their own lives. So it may be outdated for some, but others it's not, and they should have that right to practice it. And that kind of goes with my question. Then from your document, and which we agree with, it says the separation of church and state and the separation of ideology and state are imperative. The state should encourage maximum freedom for different moral, political, religious, and social values in society. It should not favor any particular religious bodies through the use of public monies, nor espouse a single ideology and function thereby as an instrument of propaganda or oppression, particularly against dissenters. Now, in a society that's continually against religion, those that, especially as we're talking about homosexual and bisexual and transgender lifestyles, these are starting to be taught in schools and to our children. Doesn't that go against what you guys have stated, that everybody should be able to make their own choice regarding that, and that one idea should not be propagated to everybody? And so if we've left religion out of the schools, should that not also be left out of the schools and allow parents to decide for with their children what's acceptable for them?
As a humanist, we believe that we should teach these changing values. The world's changing, and religion is ignoring these changes that are happening in the world. We think that people need to be educated. They need to understand these changes in the world and be able to think for themselves and make decisions, and not have those things removed from their lives because of religion. So we think that, yeah, they should be taught in there and let people decide for themselves using their own intellect.
But then wouldn't it be fair then to also bring religion into the schools if we're teaching, to have an open view of all things for people to decide? Wouldn't that be then propagating one particular idea?
You're slamming me, Tiffany.
I'm sorry.
You're right. Okay, back into my mode of humanist. No, because religion's outdated. We shouldn't teach that. And you can't prove it. So I don't think we should teach things that you can't prove.
But then how do you explain why you would believe that not one idea should be propagated, yet that's kind of what you're doing by sharing those ideas and not religious ideas?
We're selective about what we do.
Which I guess goes back to then why are we just not allowing everybody to have their opinion and stuff, I guess. So I don't know, I guess that kind of where we should call it.
I think you won round 3. Oh my gosh. Okay, any other comments or questions anyone wants to ask? No? Okay, round 4. Is that the
Conclusion.
the conclusion? Okay, so our concluding statement.
Do I go first, or is it humanists always go first?
I think we go first again.
Okay.
Humanists believe in freedom of speech and rights for people. We recognize that we live in a changing world. We have so much science and knowledge at our fingertips that religion has become outdated. We don't need to rely on that anymore. We're highly intellectual beings who can create our own moral ethics based on our experience. We're intelligent enough to do that. And we don't need to rely on a religion that can't be proven. We don't need to rely on theologies that give us hope. We just need to use our intellect to figure out how to make things work in this world. And so I think that because of that, that's the most important aspect. We can rely on our knowledge. We can make changes in this world based on our intellect. And we do believe in rights for people. We want people to have freedom of speech, and we do think that constitutional rights should be protected, but we think that because we've evolved so much, we need to leave religion out of it, because that isn't relevant anymore with our knowledge and our intellect. That's what we should be relying on.
Well, thank you for your thoughts. It was the Christian principles of human worth and dignity that made it possible for the formation of the United States Constitution. Only those principles in the hearts of a majority of people can sustain our Constitution today. Let's see here. Religious values and political realities are so interlinked in an origin and perpetuation of this nation that we cannot lose the influence of Christianity in the public square without seriously jeopardizing our freedoms. So the First Amendment to exercise our religion is important. Just as you have your beliefs and things, we have our beliefs, and it should be able to be shared with everyone. That every man may act according to their moral agency, which, this is from Doctrine and Covenants, that every man may act according to the moral agency which I have given unto him, that every man may be accountable for his own sins in the day of judgment. So every person should be accountable for their own things, but I think that putting religion as not valuable in society when over the majority of people believe in religion, I think is asking too much from your side.
Okay, good job, Annette. Okay, so it looks like we just have to wrap it up with these 2 questions. So do you think the authors of your article was taking moral high ground or making moral statements? And why or why not? I guess the humanist side. Oh, go ahead, Tiffany.
Oh, sorry. I was just going to say, I think, is this basically asking then if it's accepting of the other side or saying that their side's the best?
Read it again.
I think it's if you accept the other person's view.
Okay.
Don't you think?
Yeah, I think the religionist side accepts the other view in that, we think that you guys have a right to your opinions, but also allow us ours. I don't think it's necessarily the moral high ground saying that we're the best. It's that.
Tolerant.
Yeah.
I think the humanist side was taking the moral high ground and thinking that their way is right. As I kept reading it, I kept thinking about the Book of Mormon and how there were times in the Book of Mormon where they boasted in their own strength. And I kept thinking about that as I was reading this, that they weren't giving God credit for anything. in their lives, like all these blessings that we have they were not recognizing as coming from a higher being, but from their own intellect. And I think because they think they're so intellectual, they were taking the moral high ground, and they weren't very tolerant of the other side. They don't give religion any credibility as far as that goes.
It seemed like you kept saying everybody else should be able to dictate for themselves and stuff, but religion's outdated and shouldn't have a place anymore in that process.
Yeah, it was very contradictory.
It definitely was. It was interesting. I was talking to my husband about it, and I said, if you take God out of the equation, you really don't have any freedom, because if you live in a society where everybody's deciding what's right, then anything could be right. I mean, you could steal from your neighbor and you could justify that, morally by yourself. So you really, you have no freedoms when you take God out of the equation, when you don't have his higher laws to govern us. So that was just one thought that I had in regards to this.
I think that, let's see. He actually talks about that. Here, let me see real quick. Well, this isn't the quote I was looking for, but it says, "The guarantee of free exercise of religion, which I will call religious freedom, is the first expression in the First Amendment in the United States Constitution. As noted by many, this preeminent place identifies freedom of religion as a cornerstone of American democracy." So that it's like the base that leads to democracy. I'm trying to see, where's that part, though? He actually says freedom. Let's see. I have like all these quotes that I pulled out there, and I'm trying to find the exact one.
Maybe is it in section 3? The last paragraph in section 3. The most desired condition for effective exercise of God-given moral agency is a condition of maximum freedom and responsibility. With freedom, we can be accountable for our own actions and cannot blame our conditions on our bondage to another.
Yes, I think that was it.
So yeah, I had highlighted that too, but I didn't make that connection. But that, I just think, the humanists who think freedom comes from doing away with religion. I think we're in bondage to religion or whatever. But you really have no freedom without God's laws. That was just a huge connection that I made, that we have to have religion to guide us.
And I think their thought that religion binds people, it's a choice to follow. It's not that people are being forced to do anything. It's a conscious choice that they are making, and they feel freer for it. So that I don't see any bondage there.
Yeah, definitely.
Okay. Then the next one, are religious folks the only ones with values and morals? Which no, as you guys pointed out, there are lots of people that are not religious that have high values and morals. They think religion just helps people hold themselves to a higher standard and makes them, gives them that motivation. People who are not religious find some other motivation to have high values, but I think it's more likely to have someone with morals and values that's religious than not religious.
Everyone has their own moral compass and conscience, so it's kind of like, of course, anyone can have like morals and understand ethics, but yeah, like you said, like having religion in it, it changes the whole aspect, I guess.
Yeah, Megan, just to piggyback on what you said, I think, when we rely on individuals for morals, they're going to always shift, with all the things that we're seeing happen in the world. Those morals are going to shift and change, and they're subjective from person to person. So I think, you have to have religion in that sense to have morals that are unchanging, that don't just change with the tide. So.
One
Yeah.
one thing that dawned on me is I think everybody's born with the light of Christ in them, and I think that's what gives them the morality and values without religion. But I think then, as I came across that one quote from your guys' manifesto, was that then if those morals and stuff go against, restrict that personal autonomy, if you're not having a higher thing that you're reporting to, then you may be more likely to go with whatever, frees your autonomy. So I think that's where it really makes the difference.
Yeah. It's kind of that, if you stand for nothing, you'll fall for anything type of mentality. Yeah. Any other comments on
Well,
that?
I was thinking, sure. So you guys basically said everything I was thinking of saying, but with Megan saying, everybody has their own moral compass. Without religion, where's the standard? There's no.
That's very true.
There's no right and wrong per se. It's just what you think, and so like a piece of clay, your morals will just be molded to however you feel like it.
Yeah.
Well, and that's like Satan just trying to make us, we're the, what is it called? The motivators for our own being, and we make our own rules. We don't need to have any accountability.
Yeah. Definitely. That's, and I read that and I thought, in a perfect world, if everybody kind of had the same mindset of what's right and wrong, and this is what religion really does for us, right? Because it helps us understand God's law, it helps us get on the same page. But in the perfect world, if we all were like that and just wonderful human beings, then you could maybe see that happening. But unless you had kind of a uniform set of values for everyone to follow, then everybody is going to have a different idea, and what's moral right to one person isn't going to be moral and right to the other person. So, like you said, Annette, you're just kind of motivated by your own being, and that's where you run into issues because we're different. So,
well, that goes
kind of
with,
interesting.
Yeah, it came to me during I had a wedding to attend this weekend of my good friend. Her daughter got married, and then her next oldest daughter, is thinking about moving in with her boyfriend to cohabitate. And so then I was telling her about what I have learned about cohabitation, and she's just all like, "You're just old-fashioned. You just don't." I said, "This is empirical research. This is what it actually shows happens." And she's just, so I feel like since the changing tides, things will eventually start slipping, and I really believe that it's just coming that way. I don't know if that makes sense.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think we're definitely going to see issues down the line. Some of it's new. Some of these changes are new, and we don't really know what effects are going to have down the line, but we'll see it because, and I think that's the blessing of having the gospel when, we have that faith and that testimony that when God tells us something or gives us a commandment, it's really to bless us. And when we choose to ignore those, then there will always be consequences down the line. So I think, like you said, we may not know now what all the repercussions will be, but we'll start to see it, I think, for sure. Okay, any other comments or anything to add as we're wrapping up?
This is fun.
I kept thinking, I was like, oh, I don't want to defend this side. Oh my gosh.
I was worried that you guys were gonna, because I was like, oh, I love this side. This obviously is the side that I believe in everything, but it's hard if we're trying to put it in a secular format because a lot of it he kept pulling on scriptures and stuff, and so I was afraid you guys were gonna start pulling questions about that. I'm like, okay, I've got to find some other way to try to find this without using those scriptures. And
Darn,
Yeah,
I
all
did.
kinds
We
of
had
quotes.
that. What was that?
She had all kinds of quotes. She was so organized. She was ready for you guys.
She was. She totally beat me big time. I did have that. I should have used it because Megan and I had on one of our weaknesses was that, Elder Oaks, of course, made a lot of reference to modern day revelation through Joseph Smith and through the Doctrine and Covenants. I had it because I think humanists would immediately discredit that. So, man, Tiffany should have used it. Yeah. It was fun, though. Okay, so do we not need to put a summary on the message board? Is that what we're thinking? Do we need
yeah,
to
I don't
put anything on there?
think so.
I don't know. Let me check again.
Let me see. Okay.
I think it just says
you
post a video.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, good. Well, we made it. We survived.
Yeah.
Okay.
And
Were you going to say something, Tiffany?
oh, I was just going to say it's not related to this, so I was going to wait till you stopped the broadcast.
Oh, okay. I'll stop it right now.